Welcome everyone to the Her Story is History Summit with She Rises Studios. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Kathy Baldwin, and I am honored to be your host for today. I know that you might have been expecting to see Hannah Olivas or Adriana Luna Carlos, the founders and CEOs of She Rises Studios, to welcome you here. But I am so happy to tell you that they have just finished attending the South by Southwest and the iHeart Media event that was happening in Austin. And She Rises Studios was part of over 300,000 people who were in attendance. And She Rises Studios was a co-sponsor of one of the categories of the iHeart Media Awards. And so, really exciting news. I want you to go and check it out on LinkedIn or any other place that you see She Rises Studios. But the really cool thing that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention about that is you've heard Hannah talking all the time about the Sheconomy and how the mission of the Sheconomy is about adding $1 trillion to the global women's economy. That award that She Rises Studios was sponsoring was for the Best Advice Inspirational Podcast. Now, in that category, there was Michelle Obama, Jay Shetty. And do you know who won? The person who won was not one of the celebrities. She was just like you and I, somebody with a mission and somebody with a passion. And I think that that exemplifies exactly what this summit is about. This summit is about her story becoming part of history. And one of the things that I wanted to welcome everyone to is something really exciting is happening. The Sheconomy is having a membership, and you are being invited to come and be a part of the membership this month, actually this weekend before Monday, when it officially launches. And that would be on sale right now because of this big monumental moment for $127. There's going to be a massive announcement happening Monday, and Hannah has special guests and all sorts of amazing things that are going to drop. I am one of the founding members of the Sheconomy with Hannah and so many other amazing women. And I encourage you to come and join us as well. The link is in the chat there. It is at sheconomymedia.com. So, are we ready to celebrate women? Are we ready to be elevated and excited about what we are doing here in this time and moment of space where things are happening? And if you are here watching, I know that you know the power of all of us coming together, supporting women, having each other's backs, and being a part of this global movement of taking the power that we have as women and elevating the world through the best of what we all have to give. We're going to have some amazing speakers share with you today. And I want to be able to announce our very first speaker. I am pleased and so honored to be able to share the stage with Sherelle Morris. Sherelle, can you come and join me?
Absolutely.
There you are.
Absolutely. Kathy.
Sherelle Morris is a transformational artist and a shamanic business strategist who bridges ancient wisdom with modern entrepreneurship through her company, Stone Circle Productions. I am so excited to have you here with us, Sherelle, and I look forward to all the wisdom you're going to share with us.
Well, thank you so much, Kathy. And I want to thank you because you brought me to She Rises. All right, so let's get started here. I want to ask you in the audience out there something that nobody ever asks at a business event. When did business begin? Just take a breath and think about it for a moment. If you're picturing a storefront, that's way too recent. If you're considering, I don't know, a barn somewhere, again, too recent. So here's the answer. Business began 300,000 years ago. Now, that blew my mind, and I'm expecting that it's not something you had in the back of your head to begin with either. And these days, we are taught from ideas probably less than 100 years old. So maybe there's some thoughts, there's some inner knowing, some material, some ideas out there that can up-level your work, your skills, and your dreams. Business evolved way back then around fires or at a river crossing in the careful passing of an obsidian stone and shells and knowledge between people who understood something we have temporarily, as I'm seeing things, misplaced. That exchange wasn't just survival. It was a relationship. It was value. It was trust moving between humans who knew that what they couldn't measure was often more powerful than what they could. Ancient times, amazing wisdom. That is business. That has always been business. And it might surprise you that I expect that you have everything you've learned was probably from the Harvard School for Business or wherever you built your business foundation. And what I want to tell you is that you want to keep that. You want to work with that. Every strategy, every framework, every tool. I'm not here to take it all away. That knowledge is real. It's unique, solid, and it works. Think of business, however, as an iceberg. Kind of an odd jump there, but go with me. That's what happens in the shaman world. We bounce around. Your Harvard knowledge, your strategy, your systems, your analytics, that fills up the 10% above the surface of that iceberg. It's visible, it's measurable, it's essential. But the iceberg doesn't float on the 10%, and neither will your business. Your business needs to be brought into understanding what the 90% below the surface brings to it. The energetic field of a negotiation, the timing that makes an action land with power instead of falling flat. the relational intelligence that builds trust before a word is spoken, the deep knowing that tells you, if you're listening, exactly what move to make and when to make it. People that work with me in the last few weeks broke into being able to listen to what their business has been trying to tell them. That's in the 90%. And I'm here to give you that 90%, to open it up. And here is what those original entrepreneurs way back when understood that we have also forgotten. That the 10% and the 90% were never meant to be separate. They were always designed to work together, the visible and the invisible, in constant living exchange, each one deepening and amplifying the other. And we've lost most of that. Every culture on earth, from the time humans stepped up, has had a healer or a medicine woman or a vision keeper or a shaman, or so many names from all over the world. I see myself as a shaman. That's what I trained for many years. In my work, there is spirit and energy and many ways to work with you and your business. But today we're going to stick on business intelligence. And I want to share a story about my using my shaman energy to fix a business problem for a multinational corporation. I want to tell you about the night I solved a business problem on a rooftop in Las Vegas. In my years of training, I never would have thought that would be part of what I do. I worked with this client who was creating this amazing international conference. It was about 10 years old, a very strong community, growing like 10, 15, 20% a year. And that's really good numbers in that industry. People would fly in from all around the world to be part of this event. The 4 days were amazing. However, we started noticing, as did our attendees, that something was a little off balance. We had had local people showing up, which was fine, they were welcome, but it became clear that they were not there to learn, not to participate, they were there to disrupt. And in that disruption, they were trying to pull the fabric of what had taken years to build. And the situation had no clear conventional solution. It's an open event. They walk up with their money, they get a ticket. We can't make that different. We considered raising registration costs, but that would have punished the very community we were trying to serve. My client felt like he was out of options. At least that's what he thought. I called him one evening and we were talking about it. And I said, you know, TJ, I have an idea. He knew my background. He understood that I had this shamanic training. And he didn't hesitate. He just looked at me and said, do whatever you think will work. That's the kind of trust and that changes everything around my world. The night before the conference opened, I had gathered up about a dozen people, men and women, who carried at least some knowledge of the ancient earth, of ceremony, of Wiccan traditions and various other trainings. People who understood that energy is not a metaphor, it is an infrastructure. I asked them to meet me on the roof of the hotel that night. It was windy, the kind of wind that makes you raise your voice just to be heard. And with the wind at our backs, we began. As the energy built up and became active, we set our intentions all together and worked out to surround the entire property, every boundary, every entrance, every corner of the land. And when we dropped that circle of energy down deeply into the ground, rooting it and locking it down, the moment our energy touched the earth, the wind stopped. Completely, immediately. It was like the wind was holding its breath. Some in our circle were surprised. I was grateful. I knew that that was a message from the earth and the wind, 2 of our 5 elements. And it was acknowledging that we had done what needed to be done. Our ceremony had been received. The energy was set. The next morning, as we opened up registration, people were coming and having a great time and talking and meeting people they hadn't seen since last year. And with that, the people who were there to create problems didn't show up. They didn't come that day or the next day. They didn't come the next year, and we've never seen them again. A business problem solved with an ancient intelligence on a rooftop, and the willingness of one client to say, whatever you think will work. So let me reframe something here. I want you to be really aware that I am not telling you that the way you do business is bad. I think if you know to be here, your business is awesome. But it's as though you've probably been running your business as though it's a Ferrari, but you only have 10% of the engine. It's exhausting. But that's not a weakness. It's not your weakness. It's just what happens when someone as capable as you are is working with only a fraction of the power that is actually available to you. Your business knowledge is not the problem. Your strategy is not a problem. You hustle, and it's certainly not a problem. But missing that 90% of your education is a problem. It's preventing you from expanding in ways you might not have even considered. My work, the energetic economy, doesn't replace what you already know. It completes it. Harvard gave you the iceberg above the surface. I'm here to introduce you to the whole ocean beneath it, and to show you how to work both as one living, breathing ecosystem, the way your ancestors always did, the way we were designed to work. So here's what I know after about 40 plus years of practice in my shamanic world, and a career that has taken me from Hollywood sound stages to sacred ceremonies to conference rooms worldwide. What I know is the women in this room are not missing on that 10%. But if you feel like maybe you are missing access to some part of yourself that already knows how to lift your business up, consider that. The energetic economy gives you that access through the 5 elements, through frequency alignment, through the ancient codes that your business has been waiting for you to remember, in remembering what has been lost. We work within the mycelic network to bring women together. I would love to talk with you. And just realize this is not new information. This is some of the oldest information on Earth. And if you're ready, if it's your time to step up and remember to create your business by expanding it into your future as you welcome it to the past. So if today's story lights something up in you, I do have a couple of invitations, and I will get them to the folks here shortly so they can put them out, or I can put them out. First, we're just a few days from spring equinox. You could join me this Friday and Saturday to have a ceremony for the equinox. We gather virtually in the sphere of the new mystics. I can give you directions. And realize that this is where the ancient intelligence that we've talked about becomes a living experience, not theory. It is ceremony. And what we're celebrating is that on these days, Friday and Saturday, the world is in balance. We've had a world that's been out of balance in many ways over time. And on these days, the world itself is in balance. And it's a time to let yourself also bring yourself into balance. Second, if you're interested in my work, I would love to talk with you and see how I might be able to support what you're doing and expand what you want to do. All right. So that's my talk. I know we have a period later this afternoon in terms of connecting. All right.
Thank you so much, Sherelle. I said this when I first met you, that listening to Sherelle talk feels like you're sitting at the feet of elders and the wisdom pouring out. So if you have any questions about what Sherelle talked about, I encourage you to stay around, because we will have a Q&A where you can participate and ask questions and interact with all of our speakers. Thank you again, Sherelle. And now I'm excited to announce another amazing woman, Janet Hamilton. Could I have you come and join us? There she is. Hi, Janet Hamilton is an integrative and holistic practitioner using the compassionate inquiry and coaching to help individuals align their mind, body, and spirit while healing limiting beliefs. Thank you, Janet, for being a part of the Her Story of is History Summit. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Kathy, and thanks to Hannah Olivis and Adriana Luna at She Rises Studios for making this moment in history possible. Hi, Today, I'd like to talk to you about my legacy. The legacy ends and begins with me. Every woman carries a story that began long before she was born. Behind each of us are generations of women, mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers who lived within the realities of their time. Their experiences, beliefs, struggles, and survival strategies shaped the environments in which the next generation was raised. Whether consciously or unconsciously, those patterns often travel forward. Today, science offers language for understanding part of this phenomenon. The field of epigenetics explores how life experiences and environmental factors can influence gene expression without altering the DNA itself. Researchers have found evidence that stress, trauma, and environmental conditions may influence biological responses across generations, although the full extent of these effects in humans remains under study. In simple terms, our bodies and minds may carry echoes of what came before us. But this is not a story about limitation. It is a story about awareness and a possibility. Because while we may inherit patterns, we also have the power to transform them. The invisible inheritance women carry. For women, especially generational inheritance is not only biological, it is cultural, emotional, and societal. Women inherit stories about what is expected of them, how to behave, how to nurture, how to succeed, how to sacrifice, and sometimes how to stay quiet. These beliefs are shaped by families, cultural traditions, institutions, and social systems that have historically limited women's voices and opportunities. Many of these patterns women carry today were once survival strategies. A grandmother who suppressed her emotions may have done so to protect her family. A mother who prioritized everyone else's needs may have been taught that self-sacrifice was love. A daughter who learned to stay agreeable may have been trying to maintain harmony and a sense of belonging. Over time, these patterns can become deeply embedded in how women think, feel, and relate to the world. But patterns that once served survival do not always serve growth. And awareness is the first step towards change. I have discovered that I grew up emotionally neglected and parentified. Both my parents grew up without their fathers from the age of 3. So they did not have the emotional capacity to give me what I needed. They didn't have it themselves. This has been in my family for generations. Some of the family grew up in orphanages, not seen, not held, not heard, nor validated. This disconnection we are beginning to notice. Modern life has given women opportunities that previous generations could hardly imagine. Women are leading businesses, shaping policy, advancing science, and building global communities. Technology has opened doors to connection and learning on an unprecedented scale. Through digital platforms, women share stories, build support networks, and collaborate across continents. Yet something paradoxical has emerged alongside this progress. Despite being more digitally connected than ever, many people report feeling increasingly isolated. Screens allow us to exchange information instantly, but they cannot fully replace the subtle cues of human presence, body language, eye contact, emotional tone, and the shared energy of being in the same physical space. 80% of communication is, after all, behavioral. Psychologists often emphasize that communication extends far beyond words. Facial expressions, tone, and body language convey emotional meaning that is difficult to replicate digitally. When connection becomes primarily virtual, emotional nuances can be lost. For many women juggling careers, caregiving, and personal growth, the result can be a quiet sense of disconnection from others and sometimes from themselves. Why understanding our past matters. One of the most powerful questions a woman can ask herself is simple. Where did these patterns begin? Understanding our history, personal, familial, and cultural, does not mean blaming previous generations. Our mothers and grandmothers did the best they could with the knowledge and tools available to them. But awareness allows us to see patterns clearly. Why do we feel guilty when we rest? Why do we struggle to say no? Why do we feel responsible for everyone else's emotional well-being? Many women discover that they have been living according to beliefs they never consciously chose. The need to belong is deeply human. Throughout history, belonging meant survival. As a result, people often adapt themselves to meet expectations, sometimes at the expense of authenticity. Women may say yes when they want to say no. They may hide emotions to avoid conflict. They may try to be everything to everyone. These behaviors are rarely signs of weakness. They are signs of adaptation. But growth requires something different: awareness, courage, and compassion towards ourselves. Awareness is a path to healing. Personal transformation begins with awareness. We do not know what we do not know until we know it. This is the work. When we start observing our thoughts, emotions, and reactions with curiosity rather than judgment, we begin to uncover the patterns that have shaped us. Why do certain situations trigger strong emotional reactions? Why do some relationships feel draining while others feel supportive? What beliefs about ourselves were formed early in life? Many modern therapeutic and somatic approaches emphasize the importance of acknowledging and processing emotions rather than suppressing them. When emotions remain unexpressed or unresolved, they can contribute to stress, burnout, and a sense of disconnection. Healing does not mean eliminating difficult feelings. It means allowing ourselves to feel, process, and integrate them. And I do this with my clients by allowing them to feel, deal, and heal, which equals connecting to their authenticity. In doing so, many women rediscover something powerful: their authentic selves, the part of them that existed before the expectations, roles, modeling, and conditioning. For generations, success was often measured by external achievements, financial stability, career status, or societal approval. Today, many women are expanding that definition. True abundance includes professional fulfillment, but it also includes emotional well-being, meaningful relationships, creativity, joy, and purpose. It includes the freedom to live in alignment with one's values rather than constantly striving for validation. The shift reflects a broader evolution in how women view success, not as a constant striving, but as a balanced and intentional life. Creating that life is not about dramatic, overnight transformation. It is about small, consistent choices made each day in the present moment. Choosing self-awareness instead of autopilot. Choosing honesty instead of people-pleasing. Choosing growth instead of avoidance. Over time, these choices reshape not only our lives, but the environment that the future generations will inherit. After all, what will resist will persist. the woman who changes the pattern. In many families, there comes a moment when one woman begins asking deeper questions. She may pursue therapy, personal development, or spiritual growth. She may challenge beliefs that no longer feel aligned with who she's becoming. She may decide that the emotional patterns she inherited will not be the ones she passes on. This woman is called the cycle breaker, but she's also something more. She's a legacy maker. A legacy maker understands that transformation begins internally. She cannot control others' choices, but she can take responsibility for her own healing and growth. And when one woman changes how she relates to herself, everything around her changes. Her relationships shift, her communication evolves, her children learn new emotional languages, generational patterns begin to move in a different direction. A collective awakening. Across the world, women are stepping into this role. Communities focused on wellness, emotional intelligence, and conscious leadership are growing rapidly. Women are supporting each other in redefining success, healing old wounds, and building lives rooted in authenticity. Instead of competing for limited space, many women are choosing collaboration. Instead of striving for perfection, they are embracing growth. Instead of hiding vulnerability, they are recognizing it as a source of strength. This collective shift reflects something profound. Women are reclaiming their voices, their well-being, and the power to reshape the future. The legacy begins with us. Every woman carries a story shaped by the past, but the past does not have to define the future. The moment we choose awareness, responsibility, and authenticity, something changes. Not for ourselves, but for the generations that follow. Our children learn from what we model. They learn to express emotions, communicate needs, and build healthy relationships. They learn what self-respect looks like. History may have shaped us, but we have the power to shape what comes next. The legacy that formed us may stretch back generations, but the legacy we create begins with us. If this sounds like you, and you would like to book a call and find out more, please book a call at connectwithjanet.com or visit my website, theanomalyfactor.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. I don't know if you've talked to as many women around the world as I have been lately, but I think what you just described is the human condition for women all around the world. And what a beautiful way that you expressed all of our experiences. Thank you so much. And I'm going to encourage everyone to stick around for the Q&A answers. If you have any questions for Janet and how the emotions of what you've gone through get stuck in your body and how you can process them so that you can be the best version of yourself, stick around and ask Janet some questions. Thank you, Janet. And now we are on to our next speaker. Could I have Lindsay Wright come up and join us? Hello, Lindsay. So excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Lindsay Wright is a nurse, a former municipal health director, and a leadership speaker who teaches women how to lead with integrity and courage in high-stakes environment. Take it away, Lindsay.
Thank you, everyone, for having me today. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. There's a moment in leadership when you realize something has shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet enough that you almost question yourself. For me, that moment came when I realized I was being talked over in a room where I had once been invited to lead. And that's when I had a thought that surprised even me. Oh, this is over. It wasn't one meeting. There wasn't a single dramatic moment where everything unraveled. No slammed doors, no raised voices. It was slower than that, quieter. A series of small recalibrations that didn't feel accidental. At the time, I was serving in municipal government as the Director of Public Health and Emergency Management. In Massachusetts, that role is mandated by state law. Every town must have one. The job exists for a reason. When things go wrong in a community, someone has to hold the line on standards that protect people. Clarity matters in those environments. Accountability matters. The stakes are real. And that's when the tension started. I began noticing that I was being talked over in meetings where I'd once been invited to lead. Questions I raised were redirected. Standards I referenced were softened. Conversations about accountability slowly became conversations about tone. I was encouraged to realign, to be a little less rigid, to stop holding accountability on such a pedestal because it was creating a rift. The language was professional, but the message was simple. Make it easier. What unsettled me wasn't disagreement. I welcome disagreement. Healthy systems should tolerate friction. What unsettled me was the shift from debating ideas to managing me. From discussing standards to adjusting my presence. Because being iced out doesn't happen loudly. It happens in pauses. In meetings you're no longer invited to, in decisions made in smaller circles, in the slow realization that clarity and accountability had become inconvenient. For a while, I did what most women do. I internalized it. I wondered if I was being inflexible, if I should soften the edges, if maybe I was confusing strength with stubbornness. Most women know how to do that math. We are fluent in self-adjustment. We recalibrate tone, we soften language, we try to maintain standards without making anyone uncomfortable, not because we lack conviction, but because we've been taught that effective leadership should still feel agreeable. And that's a very difficult line to walk. But there's something I kept returning to. Clarity is not cruelty. Accountability is not aggression. Standards are not personal attacks. There was one moment when it became unmistakably clear. I had asked for a one-on-one meeting with executive leadership. I wasn't there to escalate anything. I was there to try to figure out how to move forward in my role, how to collaborate with the other public safety leadership around me without lowering the standards that guided my work. I was trying to find the bridge. We were sitting in the office across from each other, having what I thought was a problem-solving conversation. I raised the behavior that had been disruptive and dismissive and asked how we should move forward as a leadership team. The response was calm, almost casual. Essentially, boys will be boys. And in that moment, something clicked. Not emotionally, professionally. Because I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding about tone or communication style. It was a difference in compass. I was operating from the belief that accountability protects systems. Others were operating from the belief that harmony protects systems. Both sound reasonable. Only one tolerates friction. When you hold accountability on a pedestal, you disrupt comfort. You ask people to stretch. You create temporary instability in service of long-term integrity. And here's the truth about leadership that no one tells you early enough. Not every room is built to withstand that stretch. Sometimes when you hold the line, you're described as intense, or difficult, or rigid, or my personal favorite, too much. Too much for the room. But here's what I eventually realized. I was not asked to improve. I was not being asked to improve. I was being asked to shrink. And those are two very different things. Improvement refines delivery while preserving standards. Shrinking lowered standards to preserve approval. So I chose not to shrink. That choice didn't explode the system. It simply clarified something that had already become true. I was misaligned with the room, and misalignment has consequences. Leaving was not dramatic. It was definitive. People were shocked when I left, not angry, not confused about the politics, just shocked. Because in many professional environments, we quietly assume strong leaders will keep absorbing the tension, keep smoothing things over, keep making it work. But leadership doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes leadership means recognizing when alignment is no longer possible. And in the quiet that followed, I examined myself carefully. Leadership demands that. I asked the hard questions. Had I confused firmness with inflexibility? Were my expectations unrealistic? Had I missed opportunities for collaboration? Self-examination didn't weaken my conviction. It strengthened it. Because I kept coming back to the same truth. There's a difference between being liked and being effective. I chose effective. It cost me my seat at the table, but it didn't cost me my integrity. Leadership often means trying to build bridges. You listen, you adjust, you look for common ground. But sometimes the truth becomes clear. You're standing on that bridge alone. And at that point, you have a decision to make. Do you abandon the standards that brought you there? Or do you keep standing there, even when that bridge is uncomfortable? Across professional environments everywhere, strong, capable leaders are experiencing the same slow chill. The talking over, the recalibration of tone, the subtle suggestion that their standards are admirable, but impractical. The pressure is rarely loud. It's relational. It quietly asks you to trade alignment for acceptance, and that trade may preserve your position, but it will cost you internally. Because when accountability becomes optional, systems drift, standards blur, trust erodes quietly. Integrity, once compromised, is expensive to rebuild. So if you ever find yourself in a room where clarity makes people uncomfortable, where accountability suddenly becomes a tone issue, where holding the line earns you the label too much, pause before you rush to become less. Examine the room first, because sometimes the label isn't a warning. Sometimes it's a signal. Sometimes the bravest thing a leader can do is not fight harder for a seat at that table within the room. Sometimes the bravest thing that leader can do is stand up, walk away, and build a room that reflects their standards instead. When my role ended, I had a choice. I could choose another room and try to fit better, or I could build one. So I built one. Not out of bitterness, out of alignment. Because leadership isn't about finding rooms where everyone agrees with you. It's about having the courage to hold standards even when the room gets uncomfortable. And sometimes being too much for the room simply means the room was calibrated for something smaller. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak today. I genuinely appreciate it, and I will be available for questions later.
Wow. Lindsay, I know that your talk had as much profound effect on everyone listening as it did me. We have all been taught to play small, to be easy to digest, and to not take a seat at the table. And what you have just shared is so profound about the Women's History Month. Her story is history, and the reason why the Shikonomy is so important that we're all together. Thank you so very much for your talk.
Thank you for having me.
I encourage all of you to hang around and talk to Lindsay. In our breaks, we're going to have 2 sections for Q&A. And if you have as many notes scribbled down with questions as I do, stay and contact each of our speakers and be a part of this monumental summit that She Rises Studio is putting on, where we are taking a seat at the table, not to take someone off of it, but to make our voices a part of the community that is being built in the Shikonomy. Sorry, I got a little emotional with that. So at this time, I am going to ask our next speaker, Erica Chanel, to come. Did I say that correctly? I tripped over my
definitely
own
did.
tongue.
Yes, that's perfect. You're perfect.
Wonderful. Thank you. Erica Chanel is the founder of Life of Ease and a creative empowerment architect, helping entrepreneurs align their mindset, visibility, and business with purpose. Thank you so much for being a part of the summit and knock 'em dead.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and She Rises Studios for this opportunity. I am just super excited to be in this space with these other aligned women. So thank you truly. And I'm actually going to start this a little different. I'm going to read a poem that is going to hopefully make sense when it's all said and done. And so we're going to dive into it. So she evolved through a life of ease. She did not wake up powerful. She woke up tired, tired of shrinking, tired of performing, and tired of being everything for everyone. And ladies, you definitely know what I'm talking about. And more importantly, and sadly, nothing for herself. So she began with one letter, E. She chose to embrace the woman in the mirror, not the filtered version, not the future version, but the present one, here, right now. Soft, scared, yet becoming. She learned to energize her body with movement, her mind with truth, her spirit with stillness, no longer surviving on fumes, instead fueled by intention. She dared to empower her voice. She spoke boundaries without apology. She said no without a paragraph. She said yes without guilt. She stopped asking for permission to fully exist. She decided to evolve, not loudly, not for applause, but daily, in the small habits, in the courageous conversations, in choosing discipline over distraction, in choosing purpose over pressure. And when the world tried to rush her, she remembered to move with ease. When comparison whispered lies, she chose expansion. When mistakes tried to shame her, she met herself with grace. When everything felt uncertain, she returned to alignment. This was her life of ease. Not perfection, not performance, but a practice. She elevates, she expands, she expresses, she endures, she embodies. And now, she doesn't just exist. She radiates. She is not who she was. She is not who she will be. But she's evolving intentionally. She evolved through a life of ease, and she's just getting started. And more importantly, she is you. Whew. I hope that resonated. I hope that spoke to you. I hope you saw yourself in she, because that is a lot of us on the day-to-day. And I felt it was really necessary to just start with something powerful to center us, connect us, and just hit home a little bit more. And so what a life of ease is a transformational ecosystem that I didn't actually even realize I was building and creating for the last 10 years. And it's been such a beautiful birthing that has this new light. And so this transformational ecosystem allows me to support creatives, women, entrepreneurs in amplifying their voice, which is so beautiful and so necessary. Amplifying their visibility, right? And helping and supporting them step into their CEO version in their life, business, and purpose, more importantly. And just to clarify, CEO, when I use that term, I'm talking about the confident, efficient, and optimized version of you, right? And it's just a really beautiful space to be in to support individuals and creatives and entrepreneurs, because a lot of times we feel alone, yet we're not. But when we actually show up as our authentic self and are vulnerable, we find our tribe. And that's what it's really about. And so through the Life of Ease, there's a 7E framework that I typically will take individuals through. Obviously, when we're connecting and meeting, there might be certain E's we're starting with, but when it's all said and done, the framework consists of embracing your authentic self. And more importantly, embracing where you are today, right now, and embracing where you came from. A lot of people decide to try to cut out certain parts of their story. That is a part of who you are, that shaped you, that molded you, that it provides you the essence of who you are. The good, the bad, the ugly is a part of you. And once you truly, authentically own that, it will energize you into the second E with a level of confidence, clarity that is just necessary to allow you to expand where you are destined to go, expand your reach, right? And from expansion, you are empowered. You empower yourself by stepping into your own authority, and you empower others. Whether you want to or not, whether that's your goal or it's not, you are empowering others when you step into your authentic self and you show up as a CEO in your life and your business. So you get embrace, you energize, you expand, you empower, you elevate, and you evolve with more ease in your life as a whole. And the ease part is super important to me because it's a new awareness, a new lifestyle that I've been adapting, and I truly love it. And I want that for every person, because my backstory was I was working in exhaustion without really even realizing it. I mean, working 2-3 jobs at a time, 19 hours sometimes a day, just being a robot, going in flow, being, the superwoman who just needs to get things done. And that's just how I was operating. And it felt normal and, quote unquote, easy. It was gracefully kind of panning out. And what actually shifted for me and further birthed this ease mentality was 6 months ago. Well, a little over 6 months ago in August, I had to get a hip replacement. Okay. And that hip replacement literally had me sit down. I was a little stubborn. I was still trying to move and groove and get some things, going and stay busy. But it really did hit me. I was not in a space at that time to move and operate in the manner I was used to. So I had to learn to do things differently. And that was extremely empowering for me to have this awareness and then have to make a new powerful decision about how I'm going to power pivot. And the power pivot for me was the surgery. So during that time of resting, I was able to really sit with self and rest my mind, my body, and just my spirit, because I didn't really understand or how exhausted all of me was, because it was just go mode. And so that is how, furthermore, the life of ease was birthed, was through that awareness of sitting still and seeing the level and layers of the ecosystem come together. And just a little background for that is a little over 10 years ago, I was modeling. From modeling, then I started coaching models. Then I got into producing fashion shows. And then I got into photography. And it was just layer and layer. And a lot of it didn't make sense. But I just kept going because there was this fire inside of me that was pulling me that way. And so I listened to my intuition. And again, now in this present day, this persistence, this staying focused on a mission that I didn't even know was a mission has gotten me here. And it's birthed the Life of Ease ecosystem. And I love the fact that these lived experiences that I've had positions me to help women and creatives in the different aspects that they are needing to be met in. So, for example, I can provide you a photo shoot, and I can coach you on confidence, and I can coach you on posing because I walk those shoes, right? I produce events that provide visibility for creatives and entrepreneurs to be seen, to scale their business, to scale their reach, right? And so that is the beauty, furthermore, of the Life of Ease ecosystem and how I interact with people and support them. And in terms of being a CEO, the confident, efficient, optimized version of yourself. And furthermore, like what that means is we all have these stories we tell ourselves, right, in our minds about how we should be operating, how the world sees us, how we see ourselves. And so I wanted to just kind of break down a few of the terms of confidence and visibility and ease, because I do feel like those three, when they come together, it's very, very magical. And those are some of the three propelling points for somebody. So in terms of 3 tips of to be confident, first and foremost, you feel good, you feel good. And that is super necessary. And when I say that, you have to know yourself. You have to know what that means to you. Because for some people, it's glitz and glamour. For some people, it's, an all black uniform that's powerful. Understand what it means to you and do that. Okay? Because when you look good, you feel good, and your confidence is at a higher level. And that's just how you want to be operating for yourself, right? Most importantly, speak before you are ready. Trust me putting myself out here right now is quote unquote uncomfortable. Yet what I had to realize is bigger than me, and it's time to stretch myself and expand myself for the bigger purpose. And so that's why I'm here today. And most important in terms of the confidence is going to be anchor yourself in identity. For me, I know who I am and whose I am, and that allows me to move a certain way. That allows me to interact a certain way because I am very confident and I understand who I am and whose I am, right? So those are my 3 tips in terms of like confidence and boosting your confidence. Again, that's going to be when you look good, you feel good. You speak before you feel ready, and anchor yourself in identity. And then we're going to go into the 3 tips for visibility. Be seen consistently, not perfect. Perfect, we all know there's no such thing, yet we still try to be perfect. And if that's what you're going to do, just be mindful of what that looks like for you, because you can set yourself up for success to quote unquote be a little bit more perfect or a little bit more put together. But don't let that stop you. You being you, your authentic self, and showing up accordingly is what it is all about. If there's a little bit of this right here, a little paperwork, that's okay. You've been busy. You've been in the work. You've been doing things. That makes sense. Okay. So again, it's more important to just show up consistently. And when I say consistently, understand what that means for you. If that's 1 time a week, own that, give that to yourself. And when you own that and make that new powerful decision for yourself, that is when you are able to then do a power pivot. Tell yourself, I'm going to show up for for a month of 1 time a week. Build that habit. Do that consistently. Once you got that together, maybe make it 2 days, make it 3 days, but get the consistency flow first and foremost. Okay. Number 2, in terms of visibility, share your value and your voice. Trust me, I don't even like how I sound most of the time, but I have to remember at the end of the day, my anchor it's bigger than me. Everything I went through is for a reason, and it's to help someone else expand wherever they need to. I can now advise them accordingly. And so that is the reason, I put myself out here and work on being visible and sharing my value and the knowledge I have, because it is to support other people on their journey. And then 3, you want to position yourself in the right rooms, okay? Whether it's networking events, panels, collaborating with certain individuals, that is truly what it's about. So those are 3 tips, again, for visibility, being consistent, not perfect, sharing your voice and your value, and then position yourself in the right rooms. Now, this word ease, I know it might sound a little foreign to a lot of people. What is that? And like, oh, how do I bring that into my life, right? And so ease could be many things for different people. But the 3 tips I have around ease are: simplify your focus. This busy world we live in, trust me, I get it. There's so much going on, but everything doesn't need our attention, first and foremost. So slowing down to really understand and decide what deserves our focus, what deserves our energy, right? Is first and foremost. Then number 2 is creating systems. Systems will take away stress and overwhelm. Yes, creating systems might take a little bit more time, but when it's said and done, that's when the ease comes in. That's when you are less stressed and overwhelmed because you have these systems in place to help support you, your business, and your life. And when I'm talking about systems, again, this could be like having a very strong morning routine and night routine. That is going to change your life if you have that in place, right? And then you want to protect your energy daily. Your energy is currency. Your energy, you get to control that to a very large extent. And if you're even in situations where you're feeling your energy being drained, no, I have an energy list that I created for myself. You know, like if I need energy and I only have 5 minutes to spare, I'm gonna go to this playlist. If I have 15 minutes, maybe I'll go to a YouTube video of a curated list that I created for myself. Or I'm gonna go for a walk. Figure out what will energize you, write it out so that it's in your handy dandy little like notebook, your phone, etc., so that you can powerfully pivot when needed. Yet on the flip side, also be very honest with yourself and understand and look at what is draining your energy. Whether that's time, people, environments, we have to get real with ourselves to understand where our energy is being leaked. Without that knowledge, we can't have a powerful pivot within our ease and our energy, right? And so just keep in mind that confidence gets you moving, visibility is going to get you seen, and ease is going to keep you sustainable. And that's how you empower, energize, and elevate without burnout, because that's ultimately the goal, is to be operating with more ease and less exhaustion in one's life. So that is my talk. I truly hope that resonated with all of you and that there were some gems that made sense to you that, you know, you can sit and reflect on as well. I'll be here for the question and answers. So I look forward to connecting with you there. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Erica. If you are not an example of the power of Her Story is History, the gems that you dropped, I mean, you were speaking my language, girl, but the way you phrased transformational ecosystem and power pivot, I was like dancing in my seat with that. Thank you so very much. And I can't wait for you to answer our audience's questions in a few minutes when we come back for our question and answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.
Was she not absolutely amazing? All of our speakers have been so amazing and showcasing the beauty and power of what happens when your story becomes her story, becomes history. And we are about to bring our next speaker on, who I know you are absolutely going to love. Can I have Brianne Davis come up and join us? Hello
Hi.
there.
Hi, how are you?
I am so excited to hear from you. Let me introduce you. Brianne Davis is a trauma and relationship specialist, author, and host of the Secret Life podcast, known for her powerful work on breaking toxic cycles and healing shame. Thank you so much for being a part of this summit, and I can't wait to hear your talk.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed everybody speaking too. I just have to say, I love that everybody's hitting on different things. And so, what I wanted to talk about today is not allowing toxic relationships to rob you of your energy and your success. I deal with a lot of women that are very successful, that have businesses, that are at the top of their game, and they allow people to steal from them, steal their energy. I call them energy vampires, and people in their life that they allow to persuade them, think they're going to show up. And then at the end, when you're at the top and running this business, you feel alone. So that's what I wanted to talk about. It's like when the drama stops and you get the toxic people out of your life, how do you move differently? So let's just start with the truth. Like, I've been in, before I became a relationship specialist and sex and love addiction specialist and all of that, I was an actor. And so I've been around a lot of toxic people, if you can imagine. And I worked as a successful actor for 20 years. And then I hit a wall where it's like everybody around me was toxic. And I was at the top of my game on a series. And it was like, it was eating me alive. So I'm going to ask you a question, and we're going to start with the truth. We all have toxic relationships, whether it's a loved one, a family member, a friend, a coworker, someone that works underneath you. It is now time to decide, like, does this work? Because the more successful you are, the harder it is to keep those toxic people in our lives. So we don't have space for them. We have to end it. And the ending part is not the hard part. It truly isn't. When the relationship ends, the hard part is when the quiet, sitting in the quiet, the nervous system quietness. It's like, where's the fireworks? Where's the applause for blocking them, getting rid of out of our lives? The hardest part is the after. It's when the drama stops and you're alone and you're with your nervous system and your brain starts going like, wait, maybe they could change. Maybe the fantasy of them, the limerence of them, the overthinking, the missing, the toxicity, because you feel alone at this place where you've worked so hard to build this career. No text is coming in, no apology, no breadcrumbs, no love bombing, the no, I miss you at 11:47, that we all get, that they're still available. No, it's silence. And I'm talking like if it's your parent or anybody, not just someone you are in love with. And then it feels like you're dying and you look around your beautifully made life and it just feels empty, like you're dying alone. Even if you have children, I'm talking because I deal with people that are still parents. So when you leave that relationship, I need you to know you're not alone, you're detoxing. You're not being dramatic. It's accurate. It's an actual withdrawal. So all of us are usually a survival mode and like crawling and doing whatever we can to get to the top and to get our things out there and share with the world. But then we have to go, okay, that was survival mode. And now I'm in thriving mode. And to get into thriving mode, you have to go through the withdrawal. It's a chemistry that's happening in your brain, and your body is going, wait, where's the hit? Where's the intensity? Because this feels too normal. And that's why I actually wrote the second book that I wrote that's out now. It's called Becoming Your Own Effing Soulmate. The first book was getting out of the toxic relationship. And the second book is warning about this part when people leave, when they disappear, and it is Wednesday and you're staring at your phone, like it's owing you money. Like, where are these people? So that's what I want you to hear. Very magnetic, successful women are not weak in love. We do not like toxicity. We are not too much. We are not broken. We are powerful women who are taught to pour our power into somebody else and their potential instead of our own standards. So that is why I speak about this, because I see it too much with myself 20 years ago and with people now, because it's a disease. And I'm going to call it love addiction, even if it's with a family member. So bear with me, but it's where we lack worth, that we think we can fix somebody else. If we love them enough, if we empathize enough, if we believe in people enough, then they'll show up for us. And that's just not how it happens, because we have to show up for us. And I know we all have a huge capacity to help people, believe in people, empathize with people, hold on to that thing they told us in 2019 and build a whole fantasy around our relationship, friendship, whatever. And dynamic women really do struggle with this. And it's because we don't hold a standard for ourselves. We struggle with it because we don't enforce boundaries that protect us. And the moment a powerful woman starts to negotiate her standards to keep someone in her life, she stops being powerful in the relationship. She gives her power away. And love does not want us to shrink our intuition. Without boundaries, we no longer hold our gifts. I said you have to kind of dig through this withdrawal. It's kind of like Shawshanking it. It's Shawshank Redemption. You dig through the crap to get to the freedom of self. And after 16 years of recovery in love addiction, 2 best-selling books, 300, I think I've done 300 plus podcasts on Secret Life, coaching people all over the world. The truth is painful. One of the most dangerous things a powerful woman can do is fall in love with someone's potential instead of the patterns. So I'm asking you today, look at the patterns of people in your life, not the potential of them, not the fantasy of them, but the patterns are the truth. And if you want to know who someone is, don't listen to what they say. I always say, listen to their actions. And I know some other people said that today. So I'm so glad, because that is the easiest thing. Look at the patterns, because the patterns cost you something. Patterns take effort. Patterns are who someone is when no one is watching, when they're tired, stressed, triggered, jealous, bored, not getting what they want. So here's a quick exercise, and I'm going to give you a worksheet at the end, so you don't need to write this down, especially if you're driving or traveling. I want you to literally close your eyes for a second, not if you're driving, and think about a relationship that took a lot of your energy. The one that you analyzed over, the one you thought about, the one you said, oh, I should have said this or I should have said that, the one that you waited for calls and they didn't come. And I want you to ask these 3 questions. The first one's fantasy. Who did I believe they could become? And then the reality question. What did they consistently show me through their actions? And then I want you to look at your body. Did I feel peaceful with this person or anxious and waiting? That's it. It's 3 simple questions. And by answering those 3 simple questions, you'll see if they need to be in your life or not. You'll see what you put on them and what was really there. Because the fantasy is, if we love harder, if we try harder, if we show up more, they will rise with us. And the reality is, people show you who they are through their patterns. So please start believing them. So with book 2, which I can put the link in as well, after the chaos, after the breakup, after the drama's done, the addictiveness to our nervous system and intensity of wanting that person in our life, even if it's a coworker. I had the same thing happen recently with a coworker. You want that person to show up, but the addiction to them doesn't just vanish. The real work starts to begin. You have to date yourself. You have to think, who do I want to be and how do I want people to treat me? And you have to sit with yourself and go, I'm not fully healed. I'm on my way to being healed. So the next unavailable person, if they show interest and your nervous system does gymnastics, is what I call it, then you're not emotionally sober yet. So that person probably is not good for your life, because love addiction, like I said, is not about love. It's about getting the attention, the validation, having that person love you that's not available, because love should feel relief. It should feel soft and soothing. And like, if you are feeling anxious, that's not real love. That's an addiction love. Healthy love doesn't make you jump through hoops. You need to feel safe at the beginning, because safety, a lot of people that I work with say safety is boring. And I get that. It feels boring at first, but because if you're used to chaos with a family member, a friend, a loved one, peace feels very suspicious when nothing's going on. And you ask yourself, why are they being so consistent? What's the catch? Are they okay? What's going on with them? This is not passionate. They're not like giving me as much attention. Magnetic women are used to being chosen. And I'm asking you now to choose yourself. Don't wait for other people to choose you. Choose yourself. Stop auditioning for people. Stop and start being selective about who is in your life and who you love. Because the more selective you are, the more you get rid of the baggage and you get to be your full, authentic, powerful energy self, and no one's robbing you of your energy. You don't have to audition for love. You don't have to think, do they like me? Am I too much? How do I need to be to make them show me more attention? Should I make myself smaller? That happens a lot. How do I act to get them not to leave? Instead, I want you to have a selective energy. Do I like them? Do their actions match their words? Does my body feel peaceful when I'm with them? Do you have the capacity to meet me where I'm at? And these questions truly change a lot of my clients. I swear by these questions. And you can stop asking, why didn't they love me more? And you start asking, why did I stay so long when they couldn't show up? That is a question not about shame. It's about ownership and looking at yourself and taking accountability for yourself. So you're not the victim to this pattern and behavior you've been in your whole life, most likely. And then we do something practical. We say, I went through this breakdown and now it's leading me to my breakthrough. So here's how you do that. Make two lists, please. What did I tolerate? And I'll just give you some examples. Hot and cold communication, not texting back, breadcrumbs, emotional inconsistency, being chosen when it felt convenient, carrying the emotional labor for them. Apologies with no change happens a lot. And then make a second list. My real standards. I want emotional consistency. I want clear communication. I want effort that matches words. I want someone who is proud to choose me and be with me. I want peace over confusion. I want reciprocity. I want accountability without drama. And I don't want excuses. And then ask yourself this one question. This is a very important question for me. And I want you to be honest. When you do this writing later, please, if you can, be completely honest. No hold bars. If I truly believed I was this extraordinary, which we all are, what would I no longer tolerate? And make that list. Because here's what I know. Strong women, they usually take on too much people, too much people's crap, other people's stuff, because they can hold it. Because we are looked at as, strong, stable. And it's like, no. We don't need to be that. We need to know what we can hold for us to have self-preservation now. You're never too much. You're never too emotional. You are never too powerful or too intense. And I want you to see that pouring love into someone and them giving it back to you. So let me land with this. The most powerful woman in this room is not who loves the hardest and who can stick around. It's the woman who loves the deepest without abandoning herself, because self-love is the most important. And I hate when people talk about self-love, but it is very important that you put yourself first and then give someone else, the oxygen mask. So lastly, here's my last question for you. And again, I'll put this all. The real question, will I finally love myself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't love me? Because the moment I did that over 20 years ago, my whole relationship trajectory has changed. I operate on self-preservation. Everybody in my life that was drama disappeared. And all these beautiful people showed up that could show up for me fully, and I could show up for them fully. And I'm not saying this like a quote on a mug, I'm saying it because I have lived it and I have gone through it, and I see other women go through it, and you can do it too. So that's all I'm going to say today. I tried to make it quicker so we can get through. I know we're a little behind, and I'm going to link the worksheet for you guys if you want to do these questions and do this work and see what relationships no longer work for you, so you can be your most powerful, dynamic, bad women out there, badass women is what I was going to say, selves. And you can all flourish and live your true, authentic self with your own energy that no one's taking from you anymore. So thank you for letting me share.
Oh my goodness, Brienne. Thank you so very much. One of the points that you said that really struck with me
Mhm.
is that it tends to be the strong women,
Mhm.
the women who can hold things together, that are resilient and strong and tough, that
Mhm.
end up having the softest boundaries, because we learn to adapt.
Mhm. Yeah, getting out of survival mode. We don't have to live like that anymore. Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you so very much. I absolutely loved, and I hope you're going to hang around, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. Um, I'm going to put my own little 2 cents in here. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Mhm.
And if we're having toxicity in any area of our lives, it's going to affect all areas of our lives.
It bleeds into everything. It's a virus. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is the month, and this is the summit where we say, my story is her story, and we are creating history. Thank you. Thank you. So, what we have talked about so far, we've had Sherelle Morris talk about ancient energy and how to bring that energy into our business world. We had Janet talk about how the body remembers, and how we have different things that happen to us, and we need to be able to heal those things to move on with it, heal, deal. And then we listened to Lindsay Wright. Oh my goodness. Talk about not playing small and having a seat at the table. I was just like, yes, yes, yes. That's part of what women were taught. And then Erica talking about the transformational ecosystem and doing a power pivot. And then to end up this session with Brianne talking about toxicity in relationships. And was the title of your book really Become Your Own Effing Soulmate? I love it. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so we are open for questions. I encourage everyone to put your questions in the chat, and I will be able to bring on all of our experts and get their feedback. This is your time to interact with these speakers and really hone in on the wisdom that they're bringing here. Okay, I hear some typing. Do any of you ladies have any feedback or questions that you have taken away from this summit so far, while we're waiting for our audience to share their questions? Erica?
I am just still like taking in, everyone drops so many gems. I don't think I was actually prepared for like all the gem drops that was going to take place today. And just being in a place that supports this type of visibility, I think is key. And we all showed up as our authentic selves. We are all living that example of doing things, maybe scared or not so prepared, whatever the case. We showed up today. And I think that's the most important thing. And it's actually awesome because there's this movement of collaborate to elevate that I'm pushing. And this is a living example of that, of coming together for this mission. And we're all going to be elevating separately, but now, like being in this room, we can hear each other. There's going to be other ways of potentially coming together to elevate. And it's just a very beautiful opportunity that was presented for all of us, whether we were speaking or just attending.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. I do start seeing some of the questions. There is a question here. How do you recognize that you're truly grown, even if it's not visible to others yet? Ooh. Brianne, are you still here? Because I think that question was for you. Well, I definitely know that the next question is for you, Erica. How do you know when it? Oh no, sorry. I
The other way.
know the next question. Yes.
No, okay.
It's for Brianne.
Let's see.
Brianne, are you still here with us? Okay.
Probably jump back on.
So how do you know when it's time to break up from toxicity? I'm going to answer this question right now to say, if you recognize there's toxicity in your life, that's when you know it's time. As soon as you start to recognize it. Do any of you ladies have any other feedback on that? I'm seeing some nodding. Oh, Brienne had to hop off. Okay. So we're going to I'm going to ask the ladies who are here with us. How do you recognize that you've truly grown, even if it's not visible to us? Yes, yes, please. I don't think your microphone is on.
Can't hear.
No.
No. No. Okay, while you figure that out, I will.
Yeah, speaking. Go ahead.
Here.
Okay.
Hear me?
Let's see. How do you recognize
Yes.
that you've really grown?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
Oh,
the way
okay.
that you recognize if you've made that transformation is peace. When you are in continuous peace, and when you can recognize that it's not your problem to solve, it's their problem, that's how you know you've made that transformation.
Yes. Couldn't have said it better.
Absolutely. We were taught to normalize chaos.
Correct.
And as strong women, we can handle so much that comes our way, that when we normalize that toxicity or the evolution that we're going through, and it's these conversations right here that start to show us what we can normalize as a higher standard, as an elevating of each other.
Correct. And I think realistically as well as we know our baseline, right? We know how we've been operating. And so there are going to be these little inklings of change that take place, and it might come in a little bit and then we resort back to our old self. So there's that little bit of a struggle as well. And then there's just like this shift that happens where you realize in your body and your soul, this does not resonate with me anymore. There's this resistance that starts to creep in and you can't explain why. You're like, well, I used to do this, but it doesn't feel that's the shift. That's when you know that you're out of alignment and that you're being called towards this new way of being, this transformational side of, how you quote unquote should be operating now in life, because we are evolving and we are elevating. And the beautiful thing is we could do that literally daily. So it's not letting someone make you feel shameful for being different today when they just spoke to you yesterday. All right, I've done some work. I heard something insightful, whatever it is. We have the power to make new powerful decisions all the time. So that's one thing I just want to continue to push out there is you can make a new powerful decision, and understanding and honoring the resistance that you feel on the inside, knowing that that is shifting you to where you are propelling to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your questions. I absolutely love them. And I'll put in my thoughts on this. And that is, if everything feels comfortable, then you are staying where you've always been. We need to understand that change and evolution changes our environment, and that's not comfortable. And that it shows us that we're on the right path. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us in this question and answer. And if there are no other questions from our audience right now, I know I am excited to hear our next speaker. Are we ready to bring Suzanne on? Suzanne, are you ready to go? Well, we got to get some sound happening.
Yes, I'm ready to go.
There we go. Okay, so let me introduce you to our audience here. Suzanne Horton is a therapist and a founder of the Caregivers Grief Commission, helping family caregivers navigate burnout, grief, and sustainable leadership. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for being with us today and having this amazingly important conversation. Suzanne, I need you there. You were muted. And
Okay.
we don't want to miss a moment.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here today, Kathy. And welcome everybody. Last week, Kathy challenged me in a moment that said, because I introduced myself not as a speaker, and she challenged me to take a look at why I do that, because I identify myself more as a writer. And how I know that is this is the last 6 years of my life. This is how I processed and managed the change of standing in the place of being my dad's caregiver over the past 6 years. I wrote everywhere. I wrote on journals, empty envelopes, sticky notes, napkins, because there was so much inside, so many emotions and so much stress that was happening on the day-to-day. I needed a place to put it so that I could begin to process and then do the stuff that was being asked of me and was required of me. So writing was one of the things that God used to help me during my hands-on caregiving season. And it really helped me to start dealing with all of the different emotions so I could show up better. So I'm going to ask everybody today that if I'm going to read a couple of journal entries from my journaling process over the last couple of years. One is from a year ago when my dad passed, and one was from last week, a year later. And so I want you to find the raise your hand emoji, and I want you to cue it up, because every time you hear something that resonates or connects for you, every time you hear something that feels like, yes, that's me, I have been there, then I want you to put that raise your hand emoji in the chat, okay? So it starts with, Papa, you are the most important person in my life. You were always there, and now you're not. I thought I was preparing myself. I really did. I thought the slow decline, the doctor's visits, the long nights, that somehow all of it would cushion the blow, soften the loss, make the goodbye easier. But it didn't, because you can't prepare for this. You can't prepare for silence where there used to be presence, for absence where there used to be comfort, for a world that keeps moving even when yours has stopped. So that was 1 year ago, right after my dad passed. And this is last week, 1 year later. Papa, it's been 1 whole year since you left. We always joked that this would be the hard part. But as hard as the past year has been, it was the years before this one where I took care of you that were actually the hardest. There is an emotional toll that comes with caring for someone you love 24 hours a day with little support. Most of the resources for us don't come until you say yes to hospice or after you're gone. I remember getting so mad when that pamphlet came in the mail after you died. I thought to myself I needed help when all this started, and now you're too late. I was thinking about even in situations where your loved one recovers, there's still this big transition in our role that takes time to adjust to. You don't just go back to the way it was before. So while everyone else is happy, wanting to celebrate, we can find ourselves feeling lost, still watching to see if it's real. For me, the stress of trying to make sure I didn't miss anything, adjusting to constant emergencies, missing work and losing income we desperately needed, running on poor sleep while listening for your needs throughout the night became overwhelming. Even being a therapist for 17 years, knowing all about self-care and boundaries didn't protect me from it. The lesson I walked away with from this season was the reminder of how important taking care of me actually is. If I want to keep showing up in a way I can be proud of every day. After spending 5 years in a constant state of high emotions and stress around your needs, I had to learn how to rest again. I had told myself over and over, I'll do it later. There's no time for me. Your needs are more important. Until my body decided it wasn't a choice anymore. So that's 1 year later after my dad had passed. And a lot of people would have said that, like, Suzanne, I cannot even begin to believe what it looks like when people are so overwhelmed and stressed out and still have to show up every day. So writing became my rest to reset, which is my go-to process for the hard stuff in life. So what is rest? Rest is when we focus on stabilizing ourselves first. That's always got to be goal number one, because if we don't work on taking care of us, we don't have nothing to give to nobody else. So rest looks like the first one is recharge. We got to fill our cup. We got to find ways to be able to pour back into ourselves. Walking around on E ain't doing nothing for us and no good for the person that we love and care for either. It's like a phone battery. When you wake up and you need to go use your phone and you see it's on 16%, but you need to call that 1-800 number and be on hold for a minute. And the reality is it's just not going to make it. And we're walking around like that on a regular basis, focused on trying to take care of all the needs and ain't got nothing in our cup to do it with. So it's important that we do things that recharge us, and recharge needs to happen first. That might look like dancing. That might look like laughing. Move your body. Shoot, hydrate, eat something nutritious, put something in your body that helps you to be able to function and make those decisions and do all the hard stuff that's on your plate right now. Go get coffee with somebody, journal. I did a lot of gardening. I was that one person who couldn't grow anything, but my dad was an amazing gardener. And so when we moved him to my house, we brought most of his plants with me. And so I had to learn how to take care of those plants. And so I really got connected and learned how to ground myself in that process. So next we have exhale. And exhale is the piece that after we have put something in our cup, now we can actually do that in a way that feels like we have relaxed. I was getting dressed this morning and I realized how much we walk around focused around sucking it all in and trying to be all perfect and straight and good posture. And we're really walking around super tight. Okay. And so we have to learn how to let our bodies settle. Take that breath you've been holding. Okay. Do the things that help your shoulders actually relax, and that jaw that you have that's clenched tight overnight, work on that, because we just hold ourselves physically so tight with so much tension. So I always know when I'm stressed, because when I go to bite down on something, I got a pain right here in my jaw that just is like overwhelming. And that's my signal that, hey, I haven't actually been paying attention to what my needs are to support making sure I've been filling my cup. And so pick the thing that you identify with, that you recognize. What is that alert? What is that thing that says, I need to stop and do something for me and fill my cup so that I can grow here and feel and be able to move into whatever the next step is. So the next one is slow down. So let's stop rushing around and be more intentional. It is okay to go ahead and pick one thing and finish it before you move on to the next. It's okay to identify that I can only do one thing, two things, or three things today, and that's enough. I might have to say no to a doctor's visit. I might have to say no to transportation. And so building in the resources around us to support us through that time, that's one of the areas that I really struggled with, because I'm go, go, go all the time. And I had to figure out how to learn to let myself slow down, because I was always worried about that urgency of what if I miss this thing and something happens to my dad as a result of it. I didn't want to carry that kind of guilt around with me anymore. So our loved one will get better help if we are slowing down in an intentional way. We won't end up broke down throughout the process. We'll show up healthier, and we'll learn to be more patient with ourselves, with our loved one, and the people around us trying to help out. There were plenty of times where I recognized that I was reactive to doctors or nurses or other people in our world that made it hard for me to continue to show up, or for them to listen or hear me and meet the needs that we had. And then the last one is trust you. So we all have limits. Ain't nobody walking around here like Superwoman. The reality is we all have limits. And so we have to figure out how to respect our needs and the limits that we have, so that we can begin to do the journey for the long haul. Because as a caregiver, this is a marathon. This is not one of those moments where you get to just check out because I'm tired today. The average caregiving journey is 4 to 8 years. And so traditionally, if you got to be on 24/7 with all the heightened emotions at the same time, we're going to struggle. So we have to learn how to rest. And this system was my go-to throughout that process. And so once we've stabilized ourselves, we can move into stabilizing our situation, which means we can make a plan. So we need to record the facts, okay? Identify them and write them down. We're carrying way too much stuff around in our head on a regular basis that allows us to evaluate, which is the next step, what really is happening and make real decisions, okay? Because we're often walking around focused in the fear and the worry instead of identifying what the real facts of this situation are, okay? So after we evaluate, we have to decide that it's time to set boundaries. So set boundaries is decide what you can do and what you can't do. Like, be aware of where your limits are. We go back to the awareness of what rest looks like that allows us to then walk into reset in a healthier way, ready to make that plan. So be transparent about what you're willing to do, what you're actually capable of, and what roles you can actually hold well. Not just hold them, but hold them well. Okay. And then we're going to enlist help. We're going to find out, like, where's our tribe? Who are our people? Which is it? Your church? Is it your doctor? Is it the social worker? Is it your family? Is it the neighbors? Right? Like, I had some really amazing neighbors that would step in and help me do some of the hard things that I couldn't do alone. If my dad fell down, I didn't want to have to pick up the phone and call 911 every time. So I had some amazing people who I could say, hey, can you come help me get dad up? And that was one of the lifesavers that helped me to continue to be doing it every day. And then the last step of reset looks like take the next step. So we don't have to do everything today, right now. We can focus on one thing. Breaking down the tasks that we have at hand into small pieces that feel doable is what makes it realistic to keep going every day. I think it's funny how God uses things. My dad was somebody who kept everything. And when I was going through his things after he passed, I found this list that I had made from a lot of years ago. And on that list was become a writer. And I found I was just so surprised at how God used something that I desired for a really long time ago in a way that, because I sure wasn't asking for it that way. Like, I really didn't intend for him to have to go, for me to have to go through such a hard situation for that to become a reality in my life. But the truth is, all that writing that I've done over 6 years, this stack of stuff became something that helped me through my journey, and then grew into something that would help others through the caregiving journey as well. And so, one of the quotes that I really just love, because a lot of people are not really realizing how significant or impactful what family caregiving looks like to everyone. In the United States alone, there are 63 million people who are sitting as caregivers. So the quote is from Rosalind Carter. There are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need a caregiver. So if you found yourself raising your hand more than once, you can find us on social media and connect at Family of Standards. Thank you so much.
Wow, Suzanne, as I was listening to you, I realized that we are prepped to hit puberty as a change of life. We are sometimes prepped a little bit on how to be in a relationship. But I don't know that the majority of people are prepped on what it's going to take when the roles reverse and we need to parent our parents.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want you to stick around because I know I have a lot of questions, and I'm sure everyone else does, about this new shift in role of becoming or being a caregiver and what we can do to be prepared. But we're about to have our next speaker come up. And so I'd like to have Estin Ilan come and join us. Hello there, beautiful.
Hello, Kathy, and everyone.
Let me introduce you so that you can take the stage. Estin Ilan is an award-winning certified image consultant, fashion designer, and a member of the Costume Designers Guild IATSE 892. Her work has appeared on celebrities across film, television, billboards, and magazines. A true visionary, Estin is devoted to elevating the spirit, style, and sophistication of mankind. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, everyone. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful day. And I'm so happy to be here with you all to close out this amazing event. So let me start by asking you all a question. And the question is, how confident do you feel when you meet someone new and you have to introduce yourself? So on a scale of 1 to 10, just go ahead and in your head, think about a number. Okay. So if your number is 8 or less, go ahead and drop a caterpillar emoji in the chat, or just write caterpillar if you like. And if your number was a 9 or a 10, go ahead and drop a butterfly. And while you're doing that, I will keep going. I am here today with you from Los Angeles, California. And if you're wondering what an image consultant does, I'm happy to share that we advise people on positive appearances, behaviors, and communication. So the main thing that I help people with is really low self-esteem, which shows up as low self-confidence. According to Psychology Today, a whopping 85% of humanity is experiencing low self-esteem. So if you're not feeling very confident in your own self-worth or your abilities, or you don't have a great internal self-dialogue, don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, most people are experiencing that. It doesn't have anything to do with how attractive you look or how much money you have. If you're in this 8 or lower category, you probably have low self-esteem or low self-confidence. You could say you're in your caterpillar era. And if you're in that 9 and 10, you may have already transformed into your butterfly era. So go ahead and drop one in the chat, or just decide on where you are on that scale. Are you a caterpillar or are you a butterfly? To the butterflies here today, Take notes for your caterpillar loved ones. And for my caterpillars out there, take some hope in knowing that there is a blueprint inside of you for your very own butterfly. It's just there waiting, lying within. Your blueprint is your purpose. It's the highest version of yourself, and it's the person you're born to be. But the truth is that life here on Earth as a human being includes a lot of suffering. And suffering is ultimately what sets us apart from artificial intelligences. Suffering and emotions. So clearly, human suffering is inherently part of the human experience. God intentionally gave us suffering. But why? So we know that we have to embrace our suffering with an attitude of gratitude. We have to, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Or what's wrong with me? We have to ask, what is this teaching me? Or what am I gaining from this experience? It's certainly a lot easier said than done. We have to step back or step away from our own involvement in our problems to just have a higher perspective of what this experience or what this suffering is bringing to the meaning of our lives. And we also have to recognize and acknowledge that not everyone succeeds at working through suffering. Some succumb to it. It can be extremely difficult at times, but it's certainly possible. We've heard a lot of stories today, right? I can tell you firsthand how I transformed myself from my caterpillar era and into my butterfly era, and how you can too. Do you want to know the secret sauce? Because I hope you do, because I'm going to tell you. But before I dive in, I'm going to share a bit of my own history, my own personal vulnerable history that led me here today, and to the point where I knew that total transformation was the only way forward. I left behind a thriving career as a fashion designer. As Kathleen told you, I would see my designs on random people walking by, on billboards as I would drive by, in films, on television, in magazines, everywhere. It was a very privileged position. I also spent many years performing, and I had the privilege of dancing on the rotating stage at the Hollywood Bowl or in music videos. I had just won a beauty pageant, and I got engaged, and I moved overseas to the southern countryside, so the countryside of southern Germany. And I will tell you, that's where I became a new mom and got struck with this mix of postpartum depression and a total legit identity crisis at the age of 30. So resigning from my position, I had moved all of my belongings, I put them on a shipping container, and I relocated only to arrive months before all my belongings and learn that my fiance actually never intended on getting married. And soon after, my baby was born, and I learned that he wouldn't let me leave the country and go home. My life was a mess, a colossal mess. My score at that time would have been 0. I'm sure you can relate at some point of your life, right? That you had a 0. And I just really didn't recognize myself. Like, I would look in the mirror, I didn't recognize my body, I didn't recognize my face. None of my fashion fit me anymore when it did eventually arrive. And I didn't realize how much of my identity I had tied to my wardrobe. Who had I become? I couldn't even communicate with the people around me as I wasn't fluent yet in German. I felt deaf and mute, and I felt the full weight of being an immigrant and a foreigner, as well as the unwanted label of being an expat, which wasn't a label I was comfortable with. Now, I know that we can have excuses or we can have results, but not both. So I tried not to wallow too much. I went into hermit mode and I started designing dresses, and I started to sell them on Etsy. And the buyers were women from all around the world, and they would get married in my dresses, and then they would send me their wedding photos. And they did this voluntarily of their own accord. I wasn't asking. They just sent me their wedding photos and told me how wonderful their experience was. And I felt so honored that they had selected a dress that had stemmed from my own very imagination for their ceremonious big day that I wasn't going to have. So it gave me a big perspective shift. And the feelings that I got from them sharing their personal wedding photos with me to someone they didn't even know really gave me an inkling of my niche flicker to life. My calling came back to me in this time of identity crisis and depression. And so I decided after 6 years to just face the challenges head on and go home after 6 years of trying to make it work. I accepted that it wasn't meant to be. It was beyond my control. And there were no acts on my part that were going to turn the situation into the one that I had agreed to. I accepted that I had made a huge mistake, and I decided to embrace the radical responsibility of single parenting and self-acceptance. I got myself together and I went home, and I decided that no matter how hard it would be, I would figure it out or I would die trying. And it was a very empowering decision. When I got home back to Los Angeles, I embarked on a fundamentally spiritual evolution. I got involved with my local church where I got a lot of support. I was accepted into the Costume Designers Guild. That week, everything shut down. And I started illustrating for other people. It was great. I got back to school and I got certified in image consulting at FIT, where my work was recognized with an annual award from the Image Consultants International. And then I implemented my own unique style system based on my own cumulative life experience and learnings. And I used this system to shift from feelings of worthlessness and self-criticism that I couldn't even openly admit to others into a life filled with peace and with purpose. And many other women that I have worked with have used the same system to achieve incredible life-changing transformation. And it has been profoundly rewarding. So here we go, okay? The main takeaway for today, if you get nothing else from this last few minutes, is that you cannot successfully be your true authentic self if you are constantly copying or trying to be like everyone else. It just doesn't happen that way. To access your true authentic self, you must first acknowledge that the transformational blueprint that you need lies within yourself, and no one can tell you what it is. But I can guide you through the discovery process, and I've broken it down into 7 steps that took me about 10 years to figure out, okay? Right. So the first step is that we have to have a vision, and we can use tools and exercises to accomplish a vision when there isn't one, when there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We need to find some light. And so this step is just pure imagination and willpower. We look at our values, our skills, our experiences, and our roadblocks as well. And ultimately, we are defining our desired destination in a perfect world. The second is that we take a walk through the essentials. I'm talking about the grooming and hygiene. That is the naked part, the part that you go through each morning, throughout the day, perhaps, and each evening. How do you take care of yourself? There are daily habits and routines that have been adopted and developed by high-level professionals and people in positions of power, women in power, that you too can adopt to convey polished professionalism. Third, we look at communications. It's got to be classy, ladies. We look at themes like body language, tone of voice, powerful phrases that get people to willingly do what you ask them to. Even tongue twisters to move past slang and heavy accents that can impede on effective communication as well as self-confidence. The fourth, we look at the unspoken codes of corporate business etiquette and the behaviors that are expected in a professional environment. You do not want to fall short on this. And fifth, we will unlock the correct costume and archetype for your chosen industry and audience. Visually communicate how you identify with others in a positive way, and how you get your target audience to understand you better without even saying a word. If I could describe this step in another way, I would say that your life is like a movie and you are the star. So what costume needs to be worn to win the Oscar? Sixth, we build a personal brand. So this is packed with color, mood, fonts, and even prints that speak to others about your identity and values. Color is so important because it is scientifically proven to influence the way that we feel towards someone, or just feel in general. And when we use it correctly, it enhances the energy of a person. It's complex and subtle, but will communicate to others the mood that you want them to experience about you and influence their feelings towards you. There's also conversational prints that can get people up across the room to come over and start a friendly conversation with you just because of the print that you might be wearing that day. It's very powerful. So finally, the 7th step is to look at your overall natural characteristics, your body type, your face shape, and for cues on how to create an aesthetically pleasing appearance. One that makes you feel good about yourself, right? A great piece of wisdom that I'm happy to share is the old adage of as above, so below. As within, so without. So you've got to be the same person on the outside that you really are on the inside, and they need to match. Your actions on the outside need to match the values that you hold on the inside. Otherwise, you can't be in peace. There's just no way. So finally, then the last thing that we can do in that 7th section is to balance your proportions. The ABCs, I'll say. They accentuate the best, balance the proportions, and camouflage anything that makes you feel less than amazing about yourself. Just minimize it. And at the end of this process, you have a clear and concise strategy tool for you to use during daily decision making that is absolutely unique to you. You have a clear goal in sight, a sense of purpose that will motivate you to get going or get you through those roadblocks or those days where you're like, what am I doing? It can be so confusing, right? Life can be so confusing. You can avoid that unnecessary overwhelm by having a strategy to make those decisions. You can show up with consistency, magnetize the right people, and know how to handle certain situations that might be awkward, but instead you handle them with confidence, ease, and grace. You might find there at the end of this process that you are glowing and radiant, and people start noticing and complimenting you on it. And suddenly you realize that you have now transformed yourself, and you are now in your butterfly era for all to see. And people will notice that you look your best, you're doing your best, and you've become your true, authentic self. Guys, this is the power of presence, and it will take you very far. So, to conclude, I want to give you a gift. Thank you for joining me and for listening. If you want to discover your style and transform into your butterfly era, go ahead and sign up at estonalon.com for free. And there you're welcome to book a free mini virtual consultation session with me where you can ask me whatever you want and get some expert pro insights on life, style, color, wardrobe. And this is guidance tailored specifically to you. So you can see there's my website right there. Boop, boop. So just, go there, book a call or opt in, and we'll get in touch. So I just want to say thank you for supporting my mission in elevating the style, spirit, and sophistication of mankind. Remember that confidence paves the way to success. And I want to leave you with a heartfelt dose of gratitude, and I want to wish you all a blessed day. Thank you very much.
Wow. What a way to wrap up this incredible day. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to open up the conversation and dig deeper into your wisdom and how you can bring each one of us out. But before we do that, we're wrapping up this 2-day summit of Her Story is History. And this summit is happening on March, which is Women's History Month. The wisdom that each and every one of these women bring, I don't know if you understand that this does not have to end here and now. This power of each of us bringing our unique gifts and our unique wisdom, every single one of these women talked about something different that touched each and every one of us. And I am happy to say that it does not need to end, and it shouldn't end. Right now, we need to be taking this moment to band together, to be a part of the Sheconomy, supporting each other, sharing our wisdom with each other so that we elevate each and every one of us up. You've seen it scrolling on the screen that the Sheconomy membership is launching on Monday. There is an incredible opportunity for every one of us to join right now and get the membership. Instead of $37 a month, get it for $127 for the entire year. There are so many incredible benefits of being a part of that, whether it is access to free or access to events that are happening on a first come. You want to be in the know. You want to be a part of there. The digital Sheconomy magazine, the print magazine, monthly Sheconomy wealth workshops with Hannah Olivas. This is worth its weight in gold because we are all a part of this new Sheconomy that is happening, and we must be able to elevate each other. And Hannah is an amazing, gifted business guru that you want to be in the room for her. There's so much more that's a part of it. But really, what it is each and every one of us being here to be able to be here for each other. We came from community. Hundreds of years ago, women had each other's backs. We were sharing our wisdom and our knowledge, so we weren't in competition with each other. We were supportive of each and every one of us. And you are now in a community that you can seize and be a part of that. And it doesn't need to be a once a year event when we're in women's history, when we remember the power of what it takes for each of us to band together. I want to thank you for being a part of this 2-day event. But before we go, I know that we've been talking about amazing topics. So I would love to have all of the speakers come and join me, and we can open up a conversation while everyone who is watching and participating can share in conversations. Please drop your comments below. Oh, so happy to see all these amazing women come back and join us. Thank you. Thank you. I know some of us had to leave earlier. Oh, we were getting somebody back. Thank you, ladies. I would love to hear from each and every one of you what you took from this incredible event. Sherelle, you are our first speaker. I'm going to ask you to go first.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. It has been an amazing few hours in and out, and all of you have been astounding. I am clearly, I feel very honored to have been the first speaker today. And Kathy, you rock. That's it. It's just simple like that. You rock. And talking from all the eras in terms of women and how we can lift them up today with today's abilities and points of view, to going back through history and knowing that there's so much that women 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, in times where I think often in our history we've been given a very slanted view of women in older times. And I know my degree is in music history, And I'm aware that a lot of the music that we think is the most amazing music for the last 1,000 years was actually written by a woman. And there was not a woman's name on it.
Hmm.
So, I mean, much in the way we've seen that the indigenous people have just been completely lost in history. It's like they didn't exist. Women were kind of in that same element, not as horrible, I think, but still. And women had written books way back in those days, and their names are not on it.
Hmm.
So it's time.
It is time that we put our names on our history.
Yeah. I think
Thank
we
you.
did that today.
I could not agree more. Thank you so much. Janet, you were our next speaker afterward. Could you share what you got out of this incredible experience?
Honestly, we're never alone. It
Oh,
sounds like we're all amongst like-minded people. And when you do the work, it shows you what's possible on the other side. And having a like-minded community is at the key in the heart of it all.
yeah.
And the women, like I said in my talk, that have paved the way for us to do what we're doing before us, and we get to continue by choice to pave the way for the future generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I did some research recently on women in history, and women have been the pioneers. We have brought around technology and health and in every aspect of life. And if you look at this panel that was here today, each and every one of you exemplifies the power of women bringing their story to history.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just about to call on Erica.
And I have to say, Kathy, I have to reiterate Sherelle's sentiments. You're a phenomenal host.
Oh, thank you so very much. I love a good love fest. Suzanne, I would love to hear from you how this experience has affected you and what you've gotten out of this summit.
I think that it's nice to be amongst a group of women that allows you to share the true you, right? Like, and be able to speak about the hard things that are happening in our lives. And so that was a really nice opportunity. This has been a really nice opportunity for me as I step in kind of new to the group of the Sheconomy and She Rises Studios. And so for me, the reality of caregivers is the majority of caregivers are women. We're the ones who step into that role and take care of our spouses when they get sick, of our parents when they're ill, and are aging. If we have a child that was born with a difficulty or disability, we are the ones that people look to take care of the needs that are present. And so we have to be able to support each other in the process of what this looks like as we move forward. So it's nice to have that community. I echo that sentiment that Janet shared.
Absolutely. Do you know, I recently saw somebody ask their father, at what point did you feel like an adult?
Mm-hmm.
And his response in his 60s was when he lost his parents and he became the elder in the family, because I don't think any one of us knows what that transition does to us. And you bringing this awareness to this community, I'm so grateful that we're able to talk about the things that we don't normally talk about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rebecca, I'd love to have your feedback on this event and what you got out of it, and especially if you have any questions of any of the panels. I know you've been having technical issues. Do we have them resolved?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Erica?
Yes.
Oh, there. Sorry. I was asking if you had any feedback.
Yeah, sorry. So for me, very, very insightful. Every woman brought a different perspective, which I think is extremely important and necessary. There was a lot of universal opportunities to apply this information. It wasn't, age, race, gender, etc. It was very universal, which I think is powerful in itself. And yeah, the unique perspective about caregiving, that really hit home for me because in my working career, I was working with residents living with Alzheimer's. And it truly holds like a special place in my heart. And like the fact of the matter is a lot of people don't understand. They don't know how to support. And bringing that more light and awareness is extremely necessary. So that was really, really powerful for me. And just, I actually mentioned to someone earlier today, like I need to go back and volunteer. Like just because I'm not working in the industry doesn't mean I can't still, be involved, because there's such a important need. And whatever our skill, whether it's singing, painting, or literally just sitting with someone. When I would do tours, I was a sales director, and I would take people on the tour, and in the later stages, it looks like someone's sleeping. And I said, no, look at their foot, they're tapping it. They're still present, they're still involved, and those little moments matter. So yeah, everyone talked about like relationships, all of this were great gems that anyone can listen to, and like it's timeless information. It's not like a right now this applies, like this literally timeless information that everyone shared. So I love that as well.
Oh, you could not have phrased it any better. Thank you so much for sharing that. Elon, sorry. My brain went into all the different thoughts that we were having. I'd love to hear your perspective as our final speaker, because you were able to capture
Don't
everything.
worry. It is a tough name for most people, but yeah, Eston Alon is my name. Thank you for the last opportunity here to speak. And I just want to speak more to that whole caregiving concept, because it is sort of inherent to being a woman, right? We're all caring for someone at some point of our lives, it seems like, whether it's when we're younger and we're taking care of our parents, or when we're in our middle ages, we're taking care of our kids, whether they're healthy or whether they're not. It's still a lot of work to take care of other people. And it's something that most women are, we have this cross to bear upon us of giving care for others, right? And even if it's just your neighbor. But I feel like I need to share something from my best friend, because she is an amazing nurse and she does hospice and she sees a lot of her patients out. And she's been doing this for a long time. And one of the biggest lessons that she shared with me that has really stuck with me, I want to share with you all. And that was that, we have difficulties in our lives that we can either deal with or we can ignore them. But when we ignore them, we don't process them. And then they become pain in our body that will express itself in the form of disease, discomfort. And it is an ugly process if you don't deal with it while you can. And if you leave it unresolved until the end of your life, then the end of that life process is really difficult for your family members and for yourself. So if you're dealing with hardship, don't suppress it. Don't deny it. Don't be like, oh, I'll deal with it later, or, tomorrow. Figure out what you're dealing with and find some help. Get some help to deal with whatever it is that you're going through that it seems too big for you to solve it on your own, right? There are so many professionals out there that are available, like all of us here today. We're all here to help others. And so don't be afraid to reach out for some professional help if you need it. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not be okay by yourself. So just get some help and deal with your stuff, right? Because we all have it. Thank you.
Oh, yes. I love the fact that you went to that place in this conversation, because you were talking about our our self-reflection on how we see ourselves, how we put ourselves out into the world. And when we don't deal with the hard things together as a community, when we don't reach out and ask for help, when we think that that is a weakness, it does affect every aspect of how we show up in the world. And you exemplified that absolutely beautifully with your story. Thank you so very much. I'm going to share something about this whole topic. My mother, I'm going to bring her into this because her story is history. And unfortunately, my mother left us early, and she left saying something that so many people at the end of their lives say, which was, I could have been somebody. I could have done something. And this is our moment to really understand that we can't leave our life unlived and undone. And we are creating our own history right here, right now. And we must seize this moment, band together. If we need help in any area, we have experts in the house of this community and every other community. And so I'm going to encourage that everyone share their stories, be a part of the next summit. Know that you have a value with your experience, your expertise, your knowledge, and share it and ask for what you need as well. Thank you, ladies. Does anyone have any final parting words before we?
I do.
I'd love to hear it.
Surprise. Being that I think I'm probably the elder female in the group, at 76 years old, I am starting my 5th company. Thinking about my parents is always amazing. And I'm grateful that I spent 10 years, even though I was working in film and television, I spent 10 years working with people with AIDS and learning to be present with someone who's 18, dying, and has to call his parents to tell them that he's gay and he's dying. It left me in a space to be able to be so open. And I know I get crazy and silly or whatever, but to be open to people, to be open, to be present with women as we're all walking this path together. It's a multitude of paths, but we're all there together. So absolutely, you're young. As you're moving through your life, if you come to a point in time where you think there's something you need to talk about or deal with or whatever, do it right then and there. I don't know how many people there are in She, but there's a lot of us. And we do turn to each other. It's part of why we love doing these things. So, as the elder woman, let me tell you, if I find out you're not getting to somebody where you need the help, I will come and hit the back of your head. They did it on television, right? Yeah, I can do that. So have a great day and a great week. And we'll see you at the next summit, I hope.
Absolutely. I encourage everyone to join the next summit that She Rises is putting on. And I even encourage you even more to come and bring your voice to this forum. Get involved. Be a part of Chiconomy. Be a part of She Rises Studios. Be a part of women supporting other women. Thank you all for joining us. If we don't have any questions from the audience, I'm going to say that it has been my honor and my joy to host these amazing women and be a part of this community. And I can't wait to see what we're all going to do next. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.